Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's jump straight into one of the most bizarre, high-stakes survival stories you are ever going to come across. We are diving deep into the cinematic, totally unhinged journey of Kazuya. Now, he's your textbook overworked corporate slave, a guy who literally works himself to death only to reincarnate into this brutal, unforgiving fantasy world. But here is the major catch. He gets zero magical powers. None. No special abilities, no superhuman strength. All he has are his raw wits and, honestly, a terrifyingly high tolerance for workplace abuse.
You see, Kazuya's past life was an absolute nightmare. We've all had bad bosses, right? But his toxic corporate boss squeezed every last ounce of life out of him just to meet tight deadlines. He was basically surviving on instant noodles until his body completely gave out. You know that intense burnout feeling? Yeah, well, it actually killed him. So when he wakes up in the afterlife, he's expecting some peace and quiet. Instead, he meets Goddess Omiru, and she is essentially his old boss, just with a shiny divine title. She calls him a useless loser right to his face, and openly admits her grand plan is to use him as a completely disposable pawn. He's just meant to be a sacrifice, burning away his life force against the ultimate enemy, the Demon Lord.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how Kazuya completely flips the script. The goddess hands him a bottle of paralyzing alcohol. The plan is for him to use it on the Demon Lord right before he dies, setting up the human hero, General Helga, to deliver the final blow. But Kazuya, he is so done letting other people decide his fate. In this massive, unexpected subversion, he leaps at the goddess, paralyzes her with that very same alcohol, and straight up murders her by shoving the bottle down her throat. Right then and there, he makes a choice. He is going to survive, no matter what.
Of course, surviving in this world is a lot easier said than done. Kazuya gets instantly dropped onto a horrific battlefield, and the first thing he sees, the Demon Lord effortlessly catching the hero Helga's ultimate attack between just 2 fingers and cleanly slicing her head off. Witnessing this absolute god-tier power, Kazuya's brain goes into overdrive. He quickly realizes the Demon Lord actually looks exactly like the goddess he just killed. So, what's his elite, foolproof survival strategy? He literally drops to his knees, turns into a dog, and starts barking enthusiastically to show total submission. Woof woof indeed.
And you wouldn't believe it, but it actually works. Kazuya leans super hard into those toxic corporate survival skills of his. He actually outperforms the real military dogs. He wakes up the earliest, follows every single command flawlessly, and happily eats canned meat right out of a bowl. The irony here is just absolutely incredible. His pathetic, soul-crushing existence back on Earth allows him to evolve from a literal pet dog to the high-ranking captain of the tax department in a mere 45 days. I mean, humanity took tens of thousands of years to evolve, and Kazuya pulled it off in a month and a half.
So that brings us to part 2, surviving the demonic court, the bald elf and the divine eye.
Kazuya's first major rival in his new role is Grafino. He's this snobby, pure-blooded elven aristocrat who absolutely wants Kazuya executed for stealing his coveted tax captain job. But Kazuya relies on the ultimate psychological warfare. He figures out that Grafino is deeply insecure about his bald patches, which are burn scars from a past defeat. Without a single drop of magic, Kazuya uses this unhinged level of confidence. He's out there physically dodging bullets with what basically looks like pure observation hockey, and he repeatedly knocks Grafino's wig right off his head. He literally shaves the elf bald to assert dominance. It proves Kazuya is a terrifying workplace rival, whether he has magic or not.
But, humiliating Grafino ends up attracting the attention of a much deadlier predator. Enter the King Forgers. These are the 9 highest-tier, pure-blooded demonic creations designed personally by the Demon Lord to inherit the throne. Lord Esteto is a powerful second-generation demon, and he desperately wants to become a recognized King Forger. To get the massive contribution points required for that promotion, he needs a high-value target. And that target is the Demon Lord's shiny new favorite pet, Kazuya.
And let me tell you, Esteto doesn't mess around. He hires the absolute deadliest assassin squad on the entire continent. This strike force is led by a guy named Aim Grim, who actually happens to be the former teacher of the fallen human hero, Helga. Aim Grim brings along 7 of his top-tier, level 50-plus, super-powered assassin students. They end up ambushing Kazuya and his genetically modified cyborg bodyguard F1 at an abandoned stone quarry in the pouring rain. The cinematic tension in the scene just goes completely through the roof. All right, moving into part 3, the Assassin's Siege and F1's Sacrifice. So,
Faced with 100 elite assassins, Kazuya absolutely refuses to abandon his bodyguard. Seeing Kazuya literally bite the leg of an assassin like a wild animal just to protect him, F1 is moved completely beyond his programming. He goes into full-on Terminator mode. He activates this forbidden trump card, Internal Annihilation Beams. These lasers literally start melting through the endless waves of enemies, but using these beams comes at a massive cost. It destroys F1's inner core. He is quite literally burning away his own life to keep Kazuya safe.
But here's the kicker. The assassins they're melting through? They're just pawns, because the master assassin, Aim Grim, has actually been hiding his true identity, waiting in the shadows for a chance at revenge for an astonishing 350 years.
And this leads us to a massive, game-changing plot twist. Aim Grim isn't just a regular human teacher. He is actually Drax, an ancient, disgraced king forger. Drax was exiled 350 years ago after a really humiliating defeat. To regain his demonic dragon-like powers, Drax turns on his own elite students right there on the battlefield. He uses these demonic vines to absorb their life force, turning them into mummified husks, and transforms back into an unstoppable, pure-blooded demon right in front of Kazuya's eyes.
Completely overpowered and outmatched, F1 makes the ultimate sacrifice. He uses his melting mechanical body as a physical cushion to save Kazuya from a fatal fall off a cliff. With his inner core totally destroyed, F1 looks up at Kazuya and delivers this heartbreaking final line before shutting down forever. Witnessing the brutal death of his only real friend in this strange world triggers an unyielding, apocalyptic rage deep inside Kazuya.
Which takes us to Part 4, Raphael's 100-Year Prophecy.
So, just when things look utterly hopeless, enter Raphael. He was humanity's absolute strongest hero from a century ago. Using his power of foresight, Raphael saw 80,000 different possible futures. And out of all of them, there was only one where humanity actually survived, and it was the future where Kazuya arrives. So Raphael orchestrated this meticulous, century-long master plan. He willingly died to trick the Demon Lord, all while instructing his immortal skeleton student Edward to spend the next 100 years bearing specific relics and instructions in the exact spot where Kazuya would eventually be pushed during this very battle. Talk about playing the long game.
And it plays out with absolute strategic perfection. Following Raphael's hidden tablets, Kazuya blindly aims his gun into thin air and pulls the trigger. The timing is so mathematically precise that one of the superpowered assassins who was trying to save a comrade miraculously jumps directly into the bullet's path while moving at 1,200 feet per second. Raphael's foresight gives Kazuya the exact opening he desperately needs to access his ultimate hidden ability, the true summoning power he managed to steal from the dead goddess.
Driven by pure, unadulterated rage over F1's death, Kazuya decides to pay the ultimate price. He sacrifices 30 years of his own human lifespan to forcefully use those buried relics as time anchors. And he doesn't just summon one hero, he summons all 5 legendary heroes from the past simultaneously. He brings back Eris, Vera, Corinne, Aris, and Raphael himself.
And finally, we arrive at Part 5, Ascension of a New God.
Empowered by this unbelievable god-tier magic, Kazuya absolutely wrecks Drax. He beats him into the concrete just playing with him, like a toy. But the physical toll on Kazuya is catastrophic. His mortal vessel begins to rapidly break apart and expand. He actually compares the pain to birthing 5 hero souls all at once. His fragile human cells literally cannot contain the immense divine energy flowing through them, and his mortal body completely self-destructs, exploding into a sea of blood just to release the 5 legends into the world.
Which leaves us hanging on a massive cliffhanger. As his mortal body is destroyed and his soul violently detaches, where exactly does a corporate slave go when he dies for the second time? Well, Kazuya's spirit is immediately transported upward, bypassing the mortal realm entirely, straight into the heavenly cloud fort. Up there, he comes face to face with the massive divine eye, Antiphon, and the very angry ghost of the goddess he murdered back on day 1.
Now, Kazuya fully expects to be tortured for all of eternity, right? But Antiphon is actually incredibly impressed by Kazuya's sheer willpower and his totally selfish, unyielding nature. Because Kazuya accepts full responsibility for all his chaotic actions, Antiphon forcibly performs a divine soul swap. He rips out the dead goddess's essence and switches it with Kazuya's soul, flooding our former corporate slave with pure, unfiltered divine power. He elevates Kazuya to the vacant, immortal role of Dimension Manager. The contrast happening at this exact moment is just stunning. Down on the Kervale continent, it's total apocalyptic chaos. The Demon Lord has literally frozen time to battle the 5 legendary heroes in this world-ending clash. But high above, in the heavens, completely detached from all that earthly violence, Kazuya is undergoing a painful but glorious transformation. He is ascending into a literal god.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. What do you think? Did Kazuya finally escape the endless grind of being a desperate, overworked corporate slave? Or, by becoming the new Dimension Manager, did he simply accept the ultimate management promotion into a brand new, immortal kind of hell? That is the beauty of this crazy story, and I honestly can't wait to see what this brand new god does next. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your curiosity sharp